Hi everyone. Hope you all are doing well and enjoying the sessions so far today. And welcome to my session on Power Platform and Teams integration. And hope you guys will find something useful out of it. I am going to share my slide. Okay. My name is Kokulan Eswaranathan. I work at Blacklight as a tech lead for Dynamics 365 customer engagement, and my Twitter handle and the GitHub handles are there. And before we start, a big thank you to all the sponsors, because without them, these free events are not possible. And the DDD is also organizing a fundraising for the National Museum of Computing. So if you guys would like to help, that would be really appreciated, and the link is there. And a quick note on the code of conduct, and I'm gonna let you guys read this. And you can find the full version of the code of conduct on that bit.ly link. Okay, I am going to switch off my camera because the connection is really slow on my side. So I'm gonna save a little bit of bandwidth by switching off my camera now. Okay, hope you guys can all see my slide. So I'm going to be quickly giving an introduction to the Power Platform. I won't go into detail as to how you can create the Power Platform apps or services. I will just be introducing what the Power Platform is. And then I will be introducing the integration between Power Platform and Teams. And after that, we will be actually touching on the Dataverse for Team, which is the common data platform that you could use to build any apps for Teams using this new stack. And then we'll be going through demo apps and sample apps, and we'll also be building a simple pod as part of the demo. So it's going to be a demo heavy session and less slides, which I hope you guys would like it. And then finally, we will also see why it is a game changer in terms of what's the benefit of this new technology stack, and we will also look at what's on the roadmap. And then finally, I will also touch on a few limitation points when it comes to the Dataverse for Teams. Now, Power Platform is actually built on top of the Azure stack, the Azure platform. So everything that you guys already know as a .NET developer is actually being used by Power Platform. That's how it is built. I mean, it's built on top of Azure. You can see as of now, it's got these 4 pillars, which is for analysis and reporting. The BI platform is Power BI, and we can build apps. There are 3 different apps we can build. They all are called Power Apps. So we could build Canvas app or model-driven app or even Power Portals. So that is actually a website that you can build using the Dataverse as the CMS. And then we also have the cloud native workflow engine. This is Power Automate, and the name is now changed as well. So it's only changed in the last few days. It's called Cloud Flows. So you can automate anything using the Power Automate. And then lastly, the last component, it is actually a fairly new component to the Power Platform family, which is not, I think it's around a year old product. So it's a no-code chatbot framework where you can actually create bots without actually writing a single line of code. So these are the main pillars of the Power Platform, and these cannot actually work without a common data platform like the Dataverse. Again, that is something renamed. Before it was called Common Data Service, and it's been renamed like in the last few weeks, and the new name is Dataverse. And also the power to the Power Platform is actually coming from the connectors. You can actually connect to over 350 different services using the connectors available out of the box, or you can actually build custom connectors as well if you would like to connect to your own services and API. And then you can also use the Azure AI or the cognitive services with minimum code. There will be no requirement for you to write any code. You can actually use the AI builder and then infuse the apps or services you build with the AI. So that's the Power Platform overview. I'm not going to go into demoing anything of the full Power Platform, but the Power Platform is actually being used a lot. Its growth is massive, and that's why Microsoft looked into a possibility of bringing that on board with Teams. Now, before I move further, I'm just going to quickly touch on the Teams growth. So they've only released like towards the end of 2016, and it overtook Slack last year. And because of all of us working from home and due to the pandemic, it's now, I mean, growth is massive. It skyrocketed the number of active users. Now you can see the latest report is 115 million active users on Teams. So the Microsoft is trying to use this as an opportunity to bring the Power Platform technology within Teams so that it can be used more and more, and then obviously it will actually be helping them to bring more people to the full Power Platform. So that's the whole reason why they are working on this. And again, so this slide is saying it's actually a slide from the Ignite, and more than 97% of the Fortune 500 companies are using Power Platform. So it's already popular. Now bringing that popularity, a popular platform, as an embedded version of it into Teams to build apps directly from within Teams. So to build any app, you actually need somewhere to store data. So to store data, so they actually created a new data platform. It's not like they created a brand new platform out of nothing. They created a subset of Dataverse, or the Common Data Service is the old name. Or if you guys are familiar with the Dynamic CRM, it's actually the mini CRM. That's what they have created as. Now, the names have been changing a lot. So at the beginning, when they introduced in July, that's when they initially announced it. They called it DataFlex, the data platform for Teams. But then, because there was already a company using that name for their product, they then had to fall back to a project name, which is Project Oakdale. That's what the session title is. But then after I published the session, sent the session detail, they've changed the name again, so now it is called Dataverse for Teams. So that's the actual name now. I don't see it changing now, but you never know. It's Microsoft, names could change anytime. So yeah, so this data platform actually, behind the scene, it actually stores the relational data in a SQL database. And if there is a file or image, that is stored in blob storage. And then any logs or audit logs are actually stored in the Cosmos DB. So what benefits you get? You actually get this for free if you have Teams license. If it is E3 and above, there is a minimum seat requirement. I think it is 20. I could be wrong, but there is a minimum seat requirement. But as long as you meet that condition, it's actually free. You're not paying any additional cost. Whereas if it is a normal common data service or database, you will be paying a lot depending on what licenses you go for. And the thing is, you actually get 2 GB free cloud storage per Microsoft Teams, and also you can actually create maximum of 500 environments per tenant, meaning you could actually get around 1 terabyte maximum cloud storage for free, to be honest. Okay, and so what we can do using the key features of this new integration is you can create Canvas apps for free. You get to create chatbots for free. Normally you would pay around 800 or 900 pounds. That's why I put it as about 1K. And then model-driven app. Those of you who are already familiar with CRM or Common Data Service might know what model-driven app is. I'm not going to go into detail, and it's not available at the moment, but it is coming soon. And then the Power Automate is the workflow engine, and the ALM support is coming soon. And also, because this data is going to be locked within the Teams environment, the only way to talk outside of that environment is to use API-based custom connector, which allows you to talk to any service, whether you are database or API or Azure function, anything you have, you can create a connector using that. Now, they have actually included a startup template. They call it a hero template, so it allows to get started easily. So I'll go through in a bit. So let's go and start the demo. So I'm gonna switch to a different screen. So it might seem like sudden switching, but I'm actually switching to a different virtual desktop screen. So we are on a demo tenant teams now. I'm going to be creating a teams team because I'm going to start from the scratch so that you guys can see how you can actually create and use this new feature. Okay, so let's create a new team. I'm going to give the name as DDD 2020. Okay, this is normal team creation that you guys all do, or if you have permission to do. And I am going to add just one demo user. Okay, so we got the team created. Now this is nothing new, you guys already know about this. Now the new feature here is that you can actually add the Power Apps app to the teams, and once you edit it and you get, when you open the app, you get this home screen. So it actually displays the apps that you have created in your environment, and then also displays the sample apps that you could install. I'll be going through one of the sample apps later on, and then it's got links that you could actually go through and get started. So let's start on creating the first app using the hero template. So before you create an app, you'll have to tell which team's team that you're going to create the app for. So I'm going to select the DDD 2020 that I created now. Because we are creating an app for a new team for the first time, it's going to go and set up the database for teams environment. So in short, a mini version of CRM or mini version of the common data service is now being created in the background. So it's creating the environment. They made it fast, so it doesn't take long. It just takes less than a minute. So let's wait for that to be completed. Okay, so you get a notification once the environment is created, and then it will land on the embedded Canvas App Studio. Okay, so the first thing is we're going to have to give the app a name. So let's call it Events App. So once you given the app a name, so the app is already will be saved first, and only then we start doing the work on this. If anyone familiar with the full platform, full Canvas App Studio, so you don't get to do this, but they made it easy here. So first thing is to create any app, you actually need a database or something to store data. So let's create a table. So I'm gonna reload this. I've noticed that the Teams is being really slow. Sometimes it's saying reconnecting. We had issue yesterday as well. So I'm gonna go back to the environment that we created. Okay, so that's the app that we created just now. Okay, let's try and create a table. Okay, so I'm going to give the table a name. If anyone familiar with the CRM or common data service, you can see when you create a table or entity, it gives a plural name as well. It's auto-populated here, whereas in the old way, we'll have to populate the name. Now, this has now created a table behind the scene and also bringing this visual editor to make things easier. And it's got the default field already at a default name field. There are hidden fields as well. I will go through later on. So let's rename this field to, let's call it event title. And I'm going to leave the default max length 200 as is. And let's add a date field for the event. Okay, it is being a bit slower than usual. Okay, and let's add another field for event type. So for this, I'm going to actually create an option set in all terms. Now it is called choice. And let's call the first one animal. Let's pick a color for the choice. And a color for that as well. You can see the Teams is struggling a little bit. It's been happening from yesterday. They must have done some rollout. And let's call the third one special and also pick a color for it. Cool. So we got the columns that we needed there, and it's automatically saved and published already. You don't need to do anything, and we can actually start entering data in here. So DDD 2020. Let's pick today's date and let's select it as an annual event. So what we have done now is we created a table, and then it will automatically bind this particular event table to this, but it has not done it because of that team having that issue. I'm going to try and refresh that screen again and see if it actually auto binds when I select it. If it doesn't, I'll manually bind that for now. Back to that app. Normally you don't have to do this, it's just because of, something is going on with Teams from yesterday. Okay, so table events, and then we can connect to that. It should auto-populate it, and okay. Again, so I'm not sure why it is actually complaining. It shouldn't fail like this, because once we created the table, it should automatically bind it. But let's try again. If it doesn't, I'm gonna have to go through and manually bind it. Hopefully it's not gonna be like this for the other remaining demos. I did try this like before this demo, it worked, and there were issues as well. Okay, so let's try and connect again. Okay. Right. So bear with me. I'm just going to create an app again. So I just wanted to show you that initial binding. So hopefully this time it's going to work. It will automatically detect the table you created and do the binding. You don't have to manually anything. I'm going to call this time event. Okay. Okay. Might be able to bind with the existing one. Cool. So I've done the binding. You can see I didn't do anything at all. It detected all the columns, automatically bound that to this gallery. So gallery is like in .NET world, it's like the data view or data grid that we normally use. So I've done the binding. We can preview the app. So you can see the test record that we added is already there. We can try and add another record. I don't know, DD. Let's say that's going to be sometime in Feb. I don't know when, just some date. That's an annual one as well. Okay, so the record that is added, you can see 2 records as a chart. Now the app is actually ready. Let's publish this to Teams. Okay, so I'm going to publish this to the general tab, general, and then let's go and check if the app is there. So I'm going to keep this studio open. Going to go to that team. So you can see the app is already in the channel, and hopefully, okay. So you can see the app is now working. It's already published. You can use the app, and you can actually use the full screen, and also it renders like the native Teams app. For this, you have not done anything. You haven't created any manifest file, or you have not done any coding. You got an app up and running on Teams, and the good thing is it works on any device, whether you are running on a tablet or phone or browser or the Teams client, and doesn't matter what platform, it will work fine because it's using a responsive template by default. So that's the example app that I was going to show. And let's go and add a little bit more to one more column to the table that we created. So when you go to the build tab, you get the see all option. When you click on it, you will actually see every single component that is part of this particular environment, which is DDD 2020. So if you check the app, we created for 2 because the first one had issues, and the table that we created is there. So in this view, you actually get to see more columns, and it is close to what you will see on a full database or common data service or in old terms CRM. Well, these are the fields that it creates out of the box, like created on, created by, all of these are there. But if I select the custom view, you can see the fields that we created. Now, this view actually allows you to add more fields. It supports more field types and stuff. So let's add something for adding an image. Let's call it a photo, and we're going to be using this to store images. So I'm not going to make it as an entity primary image or table primary image. Just going to leave that as is. You can see again the team's having issues. I'm not going to change the size, default size of the file, so I'm going to leave as is. And if I do save table, it's going to actually save the entity and publish it. Okay, so it's done that. Now if we go back to the app, let's add a field for this new column that we added. Okay, so I'm going to insert an image field in there. So it will have to be within the data card. Okay. Let me add a field first. So if we add the image, then we call it photo. And then we are adding it to add image, so I'm going to leave as is. And let's expand that a little bit. Okay, cool. So the new field is there, and also you get the save button right on top of this. I mean, as in the command bar. So once you saved it, we can actually preview and see if that works. So obviously the old 2 records don't have anything to display. So let's add an image for this, and I'm just going to Scotland. I have no idea when it's going to be. I'm just going to select some future date. Again, annual. Cool. So you can see we can actually add more fields and also all sorts of different types of fields and complex fields as well. So let's publish this to Teams again. And I'm going to just update the existing one. I'm not going to add a new tab. So cool. So that's done that. And let's refresh this, and then we should be able to see the version with the image. Okay. I'm not sure why the image is slow. I think that one. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So you can see that it's really easy to build an app without writing a single line of code. Of course, you can actually go and write functions, anything that you want to do, like on a button click or. So it's got loads of controls in there, very rich set of controls. You could do things like even virtual reality, mixed reality, 3D preview, and all sorts of things that you could actually normally do in a full Canvas app. So they all are there, and also you can use the classic controls as well. So by default, the classic controls are switched off because it is a responsive template created just for Teams to make it look like a native Teams app. But you can actually change those. Cool. So I'm conscious of time, so I'm going to move on to the next bit of the demo. So like I said before, so it comes with sample apps. The only reason they're adding this for you is because you can see how you could actually build, what sort of features you could add, and what sort of apps you could build. So I am now going to quickly show you one sample app, which is on a different screen. I'll have to refresh my Teams tab because once you move away from one, it just say if you lost the session. So cool. So if I go to the Teams, I already have a Teams environment set up and also installed the sample app called Employee Ideas. So let's wait for that to load. So you can see what sort of app you could build. So this is actually an app that is a sample app that I'm going to quickly add a campaign, and then you can see the features that they have included in this. Just I'm not gonna waste time on adding all the details. Let's pick an image you can upload as well, but I'm gonna pick one from here. So the idea is just you can see what you can actually build really complex. Sorry, this is a required field. Complex and rich UI, and it works directly within Teams. Okay, so back to the main view. So you can see the one that I added is already there. I've already tested one before, so that's why it's also there. Okay, so that I'm not going to go spend a lot of time on this because we have other demos to go through. So you get the gist of it. So you can actually build really good looking and rich app with really complex controls and with minimal coding. Cool. And let's move to the next bit. Okay, so the next thing that I was going to demo is the chatbot that you could build with no code, and also it's free. So in the full version, you'll have to pay around, like I said, 800k, but sorry, 800 pounds. But with Teams, it is free. You can only publish to Teams. You cannot publish to any other services, but at least it's free for Teams. So let's start building a bot. So again, to build the bot, they actually created the embedded version of the Power Virtual Agent Studio. So let's go and see the list of bots. So under the DDD node, at the moment, there is no bot yet because this is a new environment that we created. Okay, so same as the full version, you have to give a name. So let's give it DDD 2020 bot. Language is going to be English. I'm going to leave as is. This again takes around a minute or less than a minute, but the full version actually takes longer because it sets up a lot more data than this. So especially because of the support for channels and on all the other features, but this doesn't take that long. So let's wait for this to complete. If it takes too long or if it doesn't open, then I'm gonna have one working version already. Cool, so it worked. Okay, so this is the actual Power Virtual Agent Studio. It's very similar to what the full version is, but the features that are not available will be disabled. So you can see the flow is you will first create a bot using topics, and in what framework terms it is the dialog that we normally create using C#, and then you edit and test within the test canvas. That's already a test canvas, and then once you're happy with the bot, you then publish it to channels, but in this case it's going to be only Teams because we are creating directly from within Teams. Okay, so I'm going to hide this test run when I work on this because we need more real estate. So when you go onto the topics area, you can see there are user topics and system topics. System topics are the ones that is already there, but you can still customize them. So these are the default ones, like when someone says hello or start over, so it can recognize all of those. They are already built in, you don't have to do any work. I am just going to quickly edit the greeting topic so that it can include the name of the person that is chatting with. So right now it doesn't have the name, so you can actually include the person who logged in, ID or name, but I'm going to include the name. And this actually I don't need that, I'm going to just delete that. Okay, so we have actually edited a system topic and to include the name of the person who logged in. So let's test just that change. Like when I do hi. It is being a little bit slow, but you can see it's working. So it actually worked. The system topic change we made is actually working. Cool, so let's move on. I'm going to hide the test bit and then going back to the topics. So let's create a new topic. Let's call it I'm going to make it simple so that we can finish quickly. So let's call it a URL finder. URL. I typed the wrong thing, so I'm going to type that. Okay. URL link. Find URL. So these are going to be the trigger phrases, and then let's go and author the actual bot itself. So sorry, the topic. So you can actually have multiple topics and route between the topics as well. First of all, I'm going to get rid of this message because I'm going to first ask what sort of link they're looking for. So it will be a question and the question already typed. And let's say we're going to just give options for find DDD scheduled and schedule link, and also maybe a link to get started with Power Apps for Teams, and then another link for the database environment. So we're going to have just those three. So you can see automatically it builds a branch. We don't need to do anything. So it identified there are three options and create three different branches. And all you have to do, we can carry on with doing what we want to do in each of these options. Now, you could actually do a lot of things, like you could call a Power Automate flow or Cloud flow, they call it today. So you can create and you can talk to any service, including your custom API. If you create a connector using APIM, then you could talk to your pull data from your database or create a record, doesn't matter where it lives. So everything is possible through this flow option. I'm not going to use that now. So let's display a message with the link that they're asking for. So in this case, it's a DDD schedule. So again, just to save time, I'm going to paste that thing in there. Cool. And same for the Power Apps. Sorry, that's the link I was going to paste. Okay. And then the last one, again, it's going to be a display message. So it's got lots of, okay. Cool. I'm not going to do a lot in this, so I'm going to end this with the survey and end this part with the survey and end this part with the survey. But you can actually route to a different topic and carry on talking, or you could actually add more condition. They're adding more and more features as well. So we're not going to go through those now because of time limit. Cool. So let's save this first. Okay, and then we can test this further here, and if you're happy with the dashboard, then we can actually publish it to Teams. So start the conversation. To trigger the topic we created, I'm going to just enter URL. So you can see it actually also on the right hand side shows where it is. So it's actually nice to see which path it is following, so you can test that. So I'm going to select DDD, and then so that's the link, and the link actually works. And then I don't need anything else. And then, oh, sorry, I clicked no, refresh. So it's got all of these built in. See, I didn't actually write, but these are actually system topics. Write something in there. So I'm not going to do all the testing here because we need to test this on the actual Teams itself. So that's the main goal. So okay, so let's go to the publish. So first thing is we have to publish the board to the board because the board has to be hosted, and and it should be updated with what we've done now. So which is the topic that we created now, and also updated the system topic. So that's done, and then let's add it to Teams. Okay, so you can see you can actually send through approval. I'm not going to go through those now. Let's add to Teams directly because I've got full permission on a demo tenant. Cool, and let's go to apps on Teams, and we should be able to add the board to the Teams and start talking to it. Okay, so that's the one we built now, so I'm gonna add that. Okay, so you can see the board is added, and so this time I'm gonna select the right option when I finish, and let's say we want to find URL. Okay, so it's asking for what URL, so this time I'm going to select the Power Apps one. Okay, I'm going to say that answered my question. Okay, and then it will ask to, you can see it's actually being really slow today. So I'm just going to type the number. Okay, so that's the board. So you can see how easy it is to build. You can obviously extend if you want to build custom skills. So I'm not going to go through those now. So that's the end of the chatbot creation demo. And then let's go through the remaining. So the next thing is, this is something I'm not going to be demoing because we don't have time to do it. But what it is, you can actually create Azure function, or if you have API already, you can bring them to Azure APIM. If you create an Azure APIM service, you can then add your API in there and then expose it to Teams app. You can actually use it in board or through Flow or directly in the Canvas app itself. And so this is how you could do it. So you create a service, you bring the API or function you want to include in the connector. You then export the API, and when you export, you get an option to select the Power Apps and Power Automate. And then if you select that, then it actually asks you to select the environment. So it will ask you to select which team's environment you want to publish it to. So in this case, if I select DTD 2020, and then when you go into the Canvas App Studio, search for the connector, you can see the connector is available, and you can call any action from the API in that. So it's that easy to bring your custom code or data or push data from this to external sources. Now, what's the main benefit of this new feature is, so the main thing is cost factor. You're not paying anything else. Like, you get 2 GB per team environment for free, cloud storage with the full support of blob storage, SQL, and Cosmos DB. And also, you don't have any running cost, or you don't have to pay for any hosting because everything is hosted by Microsoft. And then the application development itself is really fast. You do within hours rather than days, or hours and days rather than weeks and months. And also, you don't need to worry about publishing to App Store or Play Store and waiting for approval and going through the whole process. It's not a good experience based on what I've done in the past. And also, the thing that you publish on Teams, it's available instantly on any device. It doesn't matter on which platform or device you are running the Teams on. As long as Teams is running, it will work fine. So that's why I see this as a huge opportunity to actually, it doesn't replace existing way of building apps and websites. You still will be doing, but you can reduce and bring more and more to the Teams, and then do less spend less time and money on the let's say Xamarin app or MVC website that you build, because if you can build most of the features using this free and rapid application development platform, why not? Okay, so what's on the roadmap? So they are actually working on bringing in more granular security for the teams. Right now, it's got only 3: the default one, team owner, member, and the guest. So what that means, when you have any guest from a different company as a AD tenant, your Azure AD tenant, a guest, then those users can also actually use the app. So that's actually really cool. You can allow your external customers to use the app that you have built and add it to a team. And then if your solution is complex and if you reach the limit, then you can actually upgrade it to the full Dataverse, which will be a paid solution. You'll have to pay for the license. And then model-driven apps, it's coming soon, but they said they're going to be making it available before GA. It's already GA, but the model-driven app is not in the UK yet. Maybe, I haven't checked the North American region yet. It could be only available there for now. PCF control, again, using React and Node, and you can actually build custom UI and bring it into this. And also the ALM support is coming soon as well. And the limitations. So the thing is, because it is limited to, the environment is limited to per team, you cannot actually build an app that talks to multiple teams' environment. I know people might try and find a workaround to use this free feature to build really massive, build all the applications they want, and they don't want to pay for anything. But if they don't want to pay anything, but the problem is that is not allowed at the moment. And even I think there is a glitch. I was able to connect to a different environment, but it does allow some time. But eventually they will fix that, so I won't be able to connect to the other environment data, meaning the other team's data. So it will be within that teams, and anything outside of that will have to go through the APIM. Now, because this is the traditional, this is a subset of the common data service or Dataverse, you would expect to build a plugin or workflow or integrate with Azure. You cannot do any of those because that's the premium feature. You'll have to pay for the full license and upgrade to the full version. And again, you're not allowed to use any premium connectors other than the APIM-based connector. That's the only premium connector allowed. So those of you, if you guys are .NET developers, you may not be aware of these plugins and workflows. That's fine. The only, in short, you can't actually do a lot of extension other than building talking through the API. So everything you can do has to be within that APIM connector. Okay, so that's everything I have to demo today. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask, or you can actually also ask on the question and answer section. To answer Douglas' question on whether we can actually use the full Power Platform to build the app for Teams, at the moment, no, because you will have to use the embedded version of the Studio, whether you are building a Canvas app or the Power Virtual Agent or even the Flow, because the environment that is created, the Teams environment, is not accessible outside of the Teams environment. That's why they strictly made it only embedded. But again, there is a glitch. I was able to actually access the environment from the full Power Platform, the Maker portal. I was able to access. So because it is a fairly new product and they're still working on fixing issues and also making changes to the whole platform itself. So officially you cannot. You'll have to do it within Teams. Hope that answers the first question.
Okay, thanks everyone for attending. Would you like to stay longer in case anyone else would like to ask any further questions later down the line? If that's all the questions, I'll end the live session. Thank you everyone for attending. I hope you enjoyed the talk.
All right, thanks a lot. Thanks for attending, and thanks Didi for giving me this opportunity to present this session. Thanks a lot. All right, see you later.
Hope everyone has a good evening.